The first message arrived 3 days after the funeral. It appeared on a phone that no one had touched since the burial. The phone belonged to a woman named Elena Marquez, a schoolteacher from a quiet town outside Seville. According to family members, the device had been placed in a drawer in her bedroom on the morning of her funeral. The battery had been nearly empty. Her sister had switched it off herself. And yet, at exactly 2:17 in the morning, the screen lit up. The message was simple: I am still here. At first, everyone assumed there was a mistake. Phones malfunction all the time. Messages get delayed. Networks glitch. These explanations were repeated again.
This
and
can't
again
be
during
real.
The first
What
week
does it say?
after Elena's
It's a
death.
warning. We need to
But
go
the
now.
messages
Let me
did
see.
not stop. And slowly,
can't be
the
real.
tone began
What does
to
it say?
change.
It's a
Church
warning. We
records
need
from
to
the
go now.
Diocese
Let me
of
see.
Seville later described the incident
This can't
as
be
one
real.
of the strangest
What does it
cases
say?
ever
It's a
brought before
warning.
them.
We need to go
The
now.
attending
Let me
priest
see.
would eventually state that the device itself became a focal point for something that should never have been able to speak. But at the beginning,
The veil is
none of that
thinning.
was obvious.
What is it?
At the beginning, it
are
was just a
awakening.
phone.
We have to stop
and
this.
a grieving family trying to understand the impossible.
Pusha.
Elena Marquez had lived alone
that
in a
it?
narrow 2-story house near the edge of town. Neighbors described her as quiet but friendly. She taught literature at the local secondary school and attended Mass regularly on Sundays. There was nothing unusual about her life. Her death was sudden, but not mysterious. According to hospital reports, Elena suffered a severe cerebral aneurysm late one evening while grading papers in her kitchen. Paramedics arrived within minutes after a neighbor heard something fall, but she had already lost consciousness. She died the following morning without waking. Her family gathered quickly for the funeral. Her younger sister, Lucia, traveled from Madrid. Their mother, already elderly, was too frail to remain long at the cemetery. The service was simple, quiet, and deeply sad. After the burial, Lucia returned to Elena's house with a few close relatives. They needed to collect personal belongings and prepare the property for sale. Elena's bedroom remained almost untouched. Her reading glasses still rested on the nightstand. A small lamp cast a warm light across the room. In the top drawer of the dresser lay her phone. Lucia remembered holding it briefly. The screen was dark. The battery indicator blinked red when she tried to wake it. She pressed the power button until it shut down completely and placed it back inside the drawer. She later confirmed this detail repeatedly. The phone had been off. 3 nights later, Lucia was asleep in the guest room when she heard a faint vibration. At first she ignored it. The house had many small sounds. Old wood shifted in the night. Pipes knocked softly behind the walls. But the vibration came again. A long, steady buzz. Lucia sat up. The sound was coming from Elena's bedroom. She stepped into the hallway, the wooden floor cold beneath her feet. The door to Elena's room was slightly open. Inside, the room was dark. The buzzing continued. Lucia approached the dresser and opened the drawer. The phone screen glowed pale blue. A message notification. Her first thought was confusion. She had turned the phone off. Slowly, she picked it up. The sender was listed as an unknown number. The message read, "I am still here." Lucia stared at the screen for several seconds. She assumed the message must have been delayed somehow. Perhaps Elena had scheduled it. Perhaps the network had just delivered it late. There were explanations. There had to be. Still, something felt wrong. The timestamp showed that the message had been sent only moments earlier. 2:17 a.m. Lucia tried calling the number. No answer. The call disconnected after 2 rings. She placed the phone back in the drawer and returned to bed, telling herself she was simply tired and grieving. In the morning, she showed the message to her cousin Mateo. He shrugged. Probably spam, he said. But Lucia noticed something else. The battery. The phone now showed nearly 60% charge. She was certain it had been almost empty before. Mateo suggested someone might have plugged it in earlier. Maybe another family member had tried to check it. No one had. Still, the explanation seemed good enough. They continued cleaning the house. For the rest of the day, nothing unusual happened. But that night, at exactly the same time, the phone vibrated again. 2:17 a.m. Lucia was awake this time. She had left the device on the kitchen table. The screen lit up by itself. Another message. I can't leave. Lucia felt a tightness in her chest. She read the words several times. The message came from the same unknown number. She called it again. This time, the call connected. For a moment, there was silence. Then a faint sound. Not a voice exactly. More like breathing.
Slow.
Uneven. Lucia whispered into the phone. Hello. The breathing stopped instantly.
No, this can't be
the
happening.
line went dead.
How could this
The next
happen?
morning, she told Matteo what had happened. He laughed nervously and insisted it was some kind of prank. But Lucia could not shake the feeling that the breathing had sounded familiar. Not identical, but close. Very close. Like Elena.
This can't be
That
real.
afternoon,
What does it
she
say?
checked the message
It's a
history on
warning.
the
We need to
phone.
go now.
There were
Let me
only
see.
2 messages.
This
Both from
can't
the
be real.
unknown number.
What does it say?
Both sent
It's a
at
warning. We need to go
2:17
now.
a.m.
Let me see.
But something else caught her
This
attention.
can't be real.
The contact
What does it
photo.
say?
The
It's a
messaging
warning. We need to go
application had
now.
Let me
automatically
see.
assigned a small gray icon to the sender. Except the icon was not gray anymore.
It had changed.
Now it
The veil
displayed
is
a
thinning.
blurred photograph.
What is it?
They
Lucia
are
leaned
awakening.
closer to the screen.
We have to stop
Her
this.
hands began to tremble. The image looked like a face.
Distorted.
Was that
Dark.
you?
And strangely familiar. That night, Lucia decided to keep the phone beside her bed. She told herself she wanted proof. If the message appeared again, she would record it. She set up a small camera facing the device. Then she waited. The hours passed slowly. 1:45 a.m. 2:03 a.m. 2:16 a.m. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the phone vibrated. The screen lit up. Lucia watched as the message appeared. 3 dots pulsed briefly. Typing. Then the text formed. Why did you bury me? Lucia felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands shook so violently, she nearly dropped the phone. She typed a reply before she could stop herself. Who is this? The typing dots appeared instantly. This time the response came faster. You know. Lucia stared at the screen. The room felt suddenly colder. Her camera continued recording from the dresser across the room. Lucia forced herself to type again. Are you Elena? For nearly 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then the typing dots returned. The next message was longer. Something followed me. Lucia's throat tightened. What do you mean? She wrote. No response. The screen went dark. She waited. Minutes passed. Then the phone vibrated once more. A final message appeared. It is here. Lucia did not sleep the rest of the night. The following morning, she showed the recording to Matteo. The video clearly showed the phone lighting up on its own. No one touched it. No movement occurred near the device. And yet the messages appeared. Matteo's expression changed as he watched. He did not laugh this time. Instead, he suggested something else. They should contact the church. Not the police. Not a technician. The church. Lucia hesitated. But deep down she already knew why that idea felt right. Because Elena had been a devout woman. And because the words in the messages did not feel like a prank. They felt like a warning. 2 days later, Lucia met with Father Ignacio Valera. He was a quiet priest in his early 60s who served at a small parish outside the city. According to diocesan records, he had previously assisted in several investigations involving alleged spiritual disturbances. Lucia placed the phone on his desk. She showed him the messages. He read them carefully. His expression remained calm. But when he reached the final message, he paused. Something followed me, he repeated softly. Then he asked a question that Lucia had not considered before. Did Elena experience anything unusual before her death? Lucia thought about it. At first she said no, but then she remembered something small. Something Elena had mentioned during their last phone call. It had sounded insignificant, at the time. Just a passing comment. Elena had said that she had started receiving strange phone calls late at night. Calls with no voice on the other end. Just breathing. Lucia had assumed it was a wrong number. But now, remembering the sound she had heard during her own call, a cold realization slowly formed. Father Ignacio closed the message screen and folded his hands. He asked Lucia to leave the phone with him for the night. He wanted to observe it himself. Lucia agreed. That evening, Father Ignacio placed the phone on a wooden table in the small study beside his quarters. He did not charge it. He did not touch it again. At 2:17 a.m., the device vibrated. The priest was awake and waiting. The screen lit up. A new message appeared. And the moment Father Ignacio read it, his face changed completely. Because this time the message was not addressed to Lucia. It was addressed to him. And it said, "Priest, it knows you are here." Father Ignacio did not move for several seconds. The small study was silent except for the faint ticking of a wall clock
No,
above
this
the
can't
doorway.
be happening.
The phone lay in the center of the table, its pale light reflecting against the polished wood. The message remained on the screen. "Priest, it knows you are here." According to Father Ignacio's later written account submitted to the diocesan office, the first feeling he experienced
can't
was
be
not
real.
fear.
What does it
It
say?
was recognition.
It's a warning. We
Not
need to go now.
recognition
Let
of
me
the
see.
sender, but recognition
This
of the
can't be
pattern.
real.
In
What does it
cases
say?
involving
It's a
alleged
warning. We need to
spiritual
go now.
interference,
Let me see.
The earliest stage often
This
reveals
can't be
itself
real.
through
What does it
indirect
say?
contact.
It's a warning. We
Objects
need to go
behave
now.
strangely.
Let me see.
Electrical devices malfunction. Small disturbances appear that seem insignificant on their own. But when
The veil is
communication
thinning.
begins,
What
the
is it?
situation changes.
They are awakening.
Communication
We have to stop
suggests
this.
intention, and intention suggests intelligence. The priest
Was that
slowly
it?
sat down in the chair opposite the table. He watched the phone carefully. No further messages appeared. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the screen lit up again. The typing indicator appeared. 3 small dots blinking on and off. Father Ignacio leaned closer. Another message formed. "You should not have taken it." The priest reached forward and picked up the phone. His fingers were steady. He typed a response. "Who is this?" The message was delivered instantly. For nearly a minute the screen remained still. Then the typing dots returned. The reply came slowly. Not one message. Several. Sent piece by piece. Not the one you think. Not the one buried. Something else. Father Ignacio felt a tightening in his chest. He had dealt with frightened families before. Many believed their loved ones were communicating from beyond death. Most of the time those cases ended with simple explanations, delayed messages, technological glitches, emotional stress. But this did not feel like that. He typed another message. "What do you want?" The phone vibrated before he had even finished placing it back on the table. The response appeared instantly. "To stay." The priest watched the screen carefully. Another message followed. She opened the door. The words lingered in the dim light of the study. She opened the door. Father Ignacio read them again. In his report, he later wrote that this was the moment he decided the situation required formal documentation. He retrieved a small recorder from his desk and placed it beside the phone. Then he waited 2:38 a.m. The phone vibrated again. The message was shorter this time. "Bring her." Father Ignacio typed slowly. "Bring who?" The reply came immediately. "The sister." The priest's eyes narrowed. "Lucia." Another message followed. "Before it finishes." For the first time that night, Father Ignacio felt a deep unease settle over him. He ended the conversation by switching the phone off. Or, at least he attempted to. The power button did nothing. The screen remained active. The messages remained visible. The phone refused to shut down. The priest left the device on the table and sat in silence until morning. At sunrise, he contacted Lucia. She arrived shortly after noon. When she entered the study, Father Ignacio noticed how exhausted she looked. Her face was pale, and dark circles framed her eyes. She had not slept well since the messages began. The priest explained everything carefully. He showed her the conversation. Lucia read each message slowly. When she reached the line, she opened the door. She looked up at him. "What does that mean?" she asked quietly. Father Ignacio did not answer immediately. Instead, he asked her a question. "Did Elena practice anything unusual?" Lucia frowned. "What do you mean?" "Spiritual practices," the priest said. "Occult interests. Attempts to communicate with spirits." Lucia shook her head quickly. Elena was religious. She went to church every week. The priest nodded. Religious people can still make dangerous mistakes. Lucia thought for a moment. Then something came back to her. A memory from nearly a year earlier. Elena had once mentioned a strange project she was working on with her students. A literature assignment about historical beliefs surrounding the afterlife. Some of the students had been fascinated by old spiritualist traditions.
Seances.
Automatic writing. Attempts to contact the dead. Lucia had dismissed it as harmless academic curiosity. But now she wondered if the project had gone further than Elena admitted. Father Ignacio listened carefully. He made several notes. Then he asked Lucia to stay at the parish that night. The messages specifically mentioned her. If the phone attempted contact again, he wanted her present.
This can't be happening.
Lucia reluctantly agreed. The priest placed the phone once again on the table in the study. He did not charge it, yet somehow the battery remained above 50%. The two of them waited together. Night fell slowly. The church grounds grew quiet.
This can't be
At
real.
2:16
What does it say?
It's
and
a
the
warning.
phone
We need to go
vibrated.
now.
me
Lucia
see.
jumped slightly in her chair.
This
The
can't be
screen
real.
lit up.
What does it
The
say?
typing
It's a
indicator
warning. We
appeared.
need to go
A
now.
message
Let me see.
formed. You came.
This can't be
Lucia
real.
felt
What
her
does it
heart
say?
racing.
It's a warning.
Father
We need to go
Ignacio
now.
gestured
Let me
for
see.
her to remain silent. Another message followed. Good. The priest typed carefully. What happened to Elena?
The veil is
The
thinning.
response came
What
after
is it?
several seconds.
They are
She
awakening.
listened.
We have to stop
Lucia
this.
leaned forward. Listen to what? The priest
Lucia.
typed. The phone
that
vibrated
it?
again. The next message appeared one word at a time. Voices. A chill spread through the room. Lucia whispered under her breath. She told me about the calls. Father Ignacio nodded slightly. He typed again. What voices? For nearly a full minute nothing happened. Then the typing indicator returned. The message that appeared next was longer than any before. She called us first. Lucia felt the air leave her lungs. Another message followed immediately. She wanted proof. The priest typed slowly. Proof of what? The reply came instantly. That death is not empty. Lucia covered her mouth. The phone vibrated again. The next words appeared slowly, as if the sender were choosing them carefully. But she called too far. The priest leaned closer. What does that mean? The phone remained still. For several long seconds the screen showed nothing. Then the final message of the night appeared. She answered the wrong voice. The room felt suddenly colder. Lucia whispered softly. What happened to her? The typing indicator returned. But before the message finished appearing, the screen flickered violently. The lights in the study dimmed. The phone vibrated with a low, continuous sound. Then the message completed. She is still here. Lucia's eyes widened. Where? The response appeared instantly. Not alone. The phone screen went dark. The power finally shut off. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Father Ignacio slowly exhaled. Then he stood and walked to the small cabinet beside his desk. From inside, he removed a thin folder of documents. Inside were official forms issued by the diocese for cases involving possible spiritual oppression or possession. He placed the folder on the table. Lucia looked at him nervously. What does this mean? The priest spoke quietly. It means the situation may be more serious than a simple disturbance. Lucia felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. You think something followed her? Father Ignacio did not answer immediately. Instead, he opened the folder and began filling out the first page. According to church procedure, investigations of this kind required careful verification. Medical history, psychological evaluation, witness testimony. But sometimes there were signs that pointed in a different direction. Signs that suggested the presence of something older and far less predictable. Lucia glanced toward the phone. The screen remained black. The device looked completely lifeless. Do you think Elena is trapped? She asked quietly. Father Ignacio closed the folder. He looked at the phone for a long time before answering. I don't know. Then he said something that Lucia would remember for the rest of her life. But whatever is speaking through that device, it is not trying to comfort the living. He reached forward and placed a small crucifix beside the phone. Then he added softly, it is trying to come closer. The following evening, the phone turned on by itself again. But this time there were no messages. Instead, the call screen appeared. An incoming call. The contact name displayed a single word, Elena. And when Father Ignacio answered the call, the voice that finally spoke was not the voice of the woman buried in the cemetery. It was something else entirely.